Thank you everyone to joining the Setitaro Show for the first quarter. Today we have Ms. Somrutai Tantakiti, who is the Head of Investor Relations and Compliance, and me, Napasim Saniwat, the Investor Relations team. So today we're gonna run the session with the short brief presentation that's gonna have around 15 to 20 minutes, and then we open the floor for the Q&A section. Okay, let me start from the session with the key highlights that happened in the first quarter and key business update. In the first quarter, the Thai economy was show the mix of feeling. In the beginning of the quarter, first 2 months in Jan and Feb, Thailand was benefit from the momentum of that carry from the end of last year from the government stimulus half and half program that launched in this fourth quarter, and also benefit from the political stability that after the election result was came in early of Feb. However, the economic sentiment softened in March due to the Middle East conflict that happened in early of March and impact to the oil price rise, and also the consumer sentiment is not good, that we gonna need to monitor it closely. In our side, for AS business, we despite the softer of the economic environment, but demand in connectivity is remain intact, especially in the consumer segment that resilient, led by the good of the first 2 months that we have result of the connectivity demand remain strong, that supporting our performance in both of mobile and broadband businesses that we observe in the first quarter. On the enterprise side, our consumers became more cautious on spending, and the project was postponed from due to the economic uncertainty, and that impact to our growth of the enterprise a bit slower than it used to be. And also, lastly, on the profitability, we continue to sustain the profit growth through the strong focus of our revenue growth and also the cost discipline, that we can generate growth in terms of the bottom line, both of EBITDA and NPAT as well. If you look at our current revenue portfolio movement, majority of our revenue remain from mobile side, which growing 7.6%, led by the ARPU improvement. Our broadband growth is 8.7% from both of subscriber expansion and also the ARPU improvement. Enterprise that I mentioned, the growth was slower than before, aligned with the cautious spending of our corporate client that occurred during the economic uncertainty. And lastly, on the retail side, that around 21% of our portfolio right now is gain the benefit from the demand of iPhone 17, which remains strong until it launch in third quarter. And also we benefit from the new Samsung phone that launched during the quarter as well, led by the growth of retail was around close to 10% for the first quarter. If we look at the key driver for our core connectivity services in mobile, first, if we look at the ARPU, was growing 4.2% year-on-year. The ARPU improvement was from the data usage, which growing 17% in the first quarter. We also continue to expect the data usage would grow strong, going that around 10% year-on-year, following the usage behavior that we observe. Our customer use a lot of the social media and the streaming platform as well. The benefit of the usage to increase was led to the upsell strategy that we execute to migrate our customer to higher quota packages, and also the 5G adoption, which right now our 5G was only below 40%, and we also believe that we're gonna be the majority of our subscription would be 5G that around 7 to 80% going forward in the next 2 or 3 years from the focus on the 5G adoption. And also the mobile ARPU also benefit from the cross-sale execution that we brought a lot of the value-added service to provide to our customer, especially in the content to uplift the ARPU going forward. And also, if we look at the broadband side, the growth of the broadband revenue has been driven from both of subscription and ARPU growth. In terms of the broadband subscriber, right now we maintain it at more than 60,000 subscription per quarter that we leverage the extensive of our fiber footprint nationwide and also the superior quality of our service. And right now, broadband penetration was remain lower than 50%. That translates to the potential of our subscription growth that we can penetrate to the upcountry further to gain the subscriber more and more. In terms of the ARPU side in broadband, we can sustain the growth in ARPU driven by the both of new subscription, which coming at around 800 Thai baht packages for the average of new sub coming right now. And also existing subscriber that we continue to upsell them to the higher packages and also the superior speed and the superior stability of package that we sell higher than the existing ARPU. We also cross-sell the value-added service to our broadband as well, like the entertainment, sport content, and also smart home solution. That's gonna be our strategy going forward to uplift our proposition to be more than the connectivity to sustain the broadband revenue growth going forward. And beyond the core connectivity service, we expand our growth engine through the retail business that you observe 10% growth in terms of the revenue that benefit from the demand of flagship phone, both of Samsung, both of the iPhone 17, which remain strong. And also we can benefit from the retail strategy that we execute to enhance the customer experience at the shop front and also in the online shop as well. We also expand the product on shelf to expand the variety of product more than the ordinary device to be accessory, also gadget and the related services that we leverage the strong footprint of our shop nationwide that cover a lot of segment of our customer. The expansion of the product to more than device that give us some benefit for the sales margin improvement that you gonna see our sales margin right now is going close to 6% in the first quarter. That due to our focus on the higher product that give higher margin and also the cost discipline that we execute during the quarter. For the entertainment side, in the past year that if you can remember, we brought the English Premier League services to offer with our partnership with Jasmine to provide the English Premier League to our customer. That and we can gain both of the subscription of entertainment and also revenue as well to align with the strategy to be the ultimate entertainment and sport services of content. And we also continue to expand content in our umbrella to the partnership model. Right now we have the flagship sport football, English Premier League, and also the other popular leagues of football. We have tennis, golf, the basketball, and a lot of the OTT content to provide to our customer. That's gonna be our key strategy of the entertainment to provide the additional growth of mobile and broadband and leveraging our customer base, which right now have more than 52 million of subscription, both of mobile and broadband, to lead to the ARPU growth going forward. And also in enterprise segment, despite its growth was softened to 1.7% in the first quarter due to the cautious spending of our corporate client, aligned with the economic uncertainty. But we do believe that the enterprise will be the is remain be our key growth engine. And once the demand rebound, once the economic getting better, improve, we also believe that the our essential product like core network, EDS, and also cloud data center will be the key growth engine. And right now we remain our intention to grow this segment at the double-digit growth. I cannot share anything for our intention. And so in addition, we expand the service through the joint venture partnership models that we have three things here. The first one is the data center that we have the two type of AV. The first one is the GSA data center that we join with Gulf and Singtel to provide data center solution that we call GSA. Right now we have two phases. The first phase is GSA 01 is already launched since July last year that have around 25.6 megawatt. Right now is already launched with the capacity is full that we commit with our not commit sorry we that we launched with our client already, the big tech company. And we also have the second phase that JSAO2 we aim to open next year that gonna be first half of the 2027, which capacity up to 38 megawatt and serve the big tech company and also um, the who want the higher grade of the data center as well that we ready to serve them. We have the EDC, the Gulf 8 data center that we join with Gulf. Gulf have 20% and we have around 30% of stake in GDC. There's only have one case right now, GEDC 01, that capacity up to 10 megawatt, and we aim to commercialize at around second half of next year as well. The second piece of the JV is the cloud side that we have TAS join with Gulf and us 50-50 stake in this JV. We aim to build this cloud solution to serve AI demand that would grow quite a lot in Thailand as well. Right now, the product in the portfolio is have three key products here. First one is AS Cloud that we leverage partnership with Oracle to provide hyperscale cloud under the name AS Cloud. We also have the Azure that join with Microsoft and Google AirGap that we join with Google to provide the comprehensive of the cloud solution to all segment of customer. And lastly, we have the data finance under the names the Clicks Bank that be the virtual bank. Last week we announced to the SET market that at the Clicks Bank they received the right to operate from BOT already, and we aim to let them commercialize that maybe within June of this year, and further detail will provide through the Clicks Bank under the Clicks Bank announcement. And lastly, on the guidance, if you see our first quarter was quite strong, both of the revenue side, EBITDA side, and capex that we spent, we decide to retain our guidance and have not changed anything. The cost of it revenue, we set the target at 3 to 5% growth. Remain focused on the quality of revenue growth, both of mobile and broadband, aligned with the connectivity demand that we see is strong coming more and more. And also enterprise, if the economic rebound, we also expect that to be the key growth of the core service revenue as well. And EBITDA, we set our intention that 2 to 4% growth despite the first quarter was 7.1%. We have to wait and see what happened on the electricity costs and also the IT that we spent to build the business expansion and also content costs that's gonna be in the second half to bring a lot of content to provide to our customer more and more. And also we want to point out the virtual bank in the first phase is gonna be some of negative impact to coming after it launched in June, in maybe some impact to our EBITDA, but also it's gonna be the midterm growth driver going forward. And lastly, on the CapEx, we remain set target at around 30 to 35 billion to build the core foundation of the network side. Mobile, we see a lot of the growth, consumption growth quite strong, and we have to build the foundation to support that. And also broadband to expand growth penetration to upcountry and enterprise, and also IT that I mentioned to build the foundation for the business growth going forward.
Maybe we can talk a bit to remind about the strategy of our homes and how we actually been focusing on delivering our business right now, and how this actually linked to our guidance, and also how it linked to what we see across this dynamic of the economic uncertainty. So in the first quarter, we benefit from a high base from fourth quarter. But then if you ask about the Iran impact, yes, we see some softness in the consumer sentiment in March. At the beginning of March, not much yet, until when the government actually raised the retail petrol price, and it has not come down since. So what we see is that structurally the cost of living of our consumer or customer has already raised to the next level. Hence, we really see the impact coming into April and May. We have lower gross add, and also that happens in both mobile and also broadband. Partially, it's not even the impact alone, but usually the second quarter, we usually get the softness coming in against the first quarter, where we benefited from several action items. AIS, we maintain our guidance because we already factored in the economic uncertainty. So let me remind you, we did the business plan in November last year. So the business case at that time, we didn't have the government certainty after election yet. So that one, we factored this impact into our calculation. So when the government turned out, we have a stable election result. Then therefore, we were hoping that possibly our result will move towards the higher end of our guidance or maybe exceeding it. But then this macro uncertainty came in and hit. Therefore, we have flexibility in our guidance that it may be at the lower or the medium of our guidance. Our guidance factored in slower EBITDA growth compared to the top line growth. Basically, there are a lot of cost items that is expected to come in the second half of the year. Firstly, our EBITDA guidance include the virtual bank, and that is part of our endeavors to diversify the service from our core business. It doesn't mean we just want to ignore our core business. We want to still keep our mobile and broadband business strong. It has to be the bread and butter. So this business has to get stronger and stronger. And at the same time, we need to build supporting business or ecosystem where customer can actually enjoy the experience with our core business, as well as extra services that help add on top in order to increase the stickiness for the customer to stay with us for the long term. In order to deliver this, we need to leverage our digital infrastructure that we already have and building the platform that talks to each other. For instance, I always give the example of the number of system used to serve one customer at a shop. We use over 40 systems to serve one customer at a shop. So you can imagine how frustrated our employee are at a shop to serve one customer. Or for instance, if you look at mobile business, we have been building the business on silo. So the mobile will have its own system for the call center or see the customer as one subscriber. Therefore, if you subscribe, for example, a content package with a mobile number, the broadband guy doesn't see, and they just immediately go and do the cross sell over this same customer. It is not healthy. And that's why we want to build platform that cut across each other. And in order for our staff to see the customer as one person, for the customer to have the same experience across all the touch point. So this is our vision, and we need to build up this capability, and therefore higher IT expense, higher platform expense, higher entertainment expense, because we continue to add more values of entertainment and sport contents for our customer in order to grow the ARPU. You may wonder why not we just maybe trim down and do price adjustment or price restructuring again. It is very sensitive to do that because in the past 3 years, we do just that to coming out of the impact that we went down from the COVID. It's only last year in 2025 that we exceed the pre-COVID level in terms of revenue. But if you look at the percentage of the ARPU per household income or per GDP per capita, we have not reached pre-COVID level yet. So we believe that with ancillary service that we will be providing for the customer, this will help us gain the share of wallet of the customer to the right point, because customer actually spend more time on the connectivity. So therefore, we believe we have the right to the wallet alongside the fair share of increased time in our customer life as well. Because the life is changing, right? Like you last time you can enjoy entertainment at the movie theater, but now maybe some homes rather want to spend time at home. So in this way, we believe that the revenue should also come to us as a platform of entertainment and sport. So this is how we actually will the business feasibility and possible we can grow with this strategy. On another thing, you may ask that whether our CapEx has already included the investment. I have to repeat again that our CapEx is just for AIS CapEx. We separately guide this number because CapEx guidance is for the purpose of estimation of depreciation amortization that is coming through in our P&L, while the investment is guided for the cash outflow into the entities that we create a joint venture, whether it is GSA, GAS, or the ClickBank we created with our partner. So in this way, it is coming back to AIS as share of profit. And if you recall or want to ask about the impact of the virtual bank or GSA, GIS, let's say given that our performance at the bottom line is so large, so the impact from GSA is not large yet. So we expected some negative impact at the beginning. For instance, GSA has an IRR of around 10%. So with that, if you calculate the investment on average, of $10 million per megawatt, and the IRR could be perceived as NPAT, for example. I'm just estimating the number for you guys to see the quantity and the impact that is quite minimal. For a start, GSA-01 is only 25 megawatt, meaning it could be $25 million in profit. Sharing our portion is 25%. So it's very minimal for the start until the data center business actually really scale up. Until then we will get some benefit that offset the minor negative impact from virtual bank in the starter years. So maybe this give you some pictures of the commonly asked question and how we actually will ask, and want to remind that it goes back to our strategy. We want to be very strong in the core, and we want to expand where we have the right to play and expand where we believe it help adding back the value into our core business.